Hello, everyone. Welcome on to Branded, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. Today, we're going behind the scenes with one of my beautiful clients, Jennie Potter. We're going to touch a little bit on our work together and what we've been doing over the last, gosh, it's been almost a year that we have been like solid together. And then we're going to dive into overcoming obstacles, mastering manifestation, and getting to the point where we are truly like stuck no more. You'll get that in a minute. Jennie, thank you so much for being here. I'm always so honored to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about what we've been doing, and I can't believe it hasn't been a full year. I feel like we've been working together for years, so that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, sometimes you just come across those people where it's like instantly there's a connection and you're comfortable with them. You can be very open and free with your communication, and you're honestly one of those people for me. So I'm truly so grateful to you, and thank you for trusting me with your business this whole time we've been working together. It's really been such an honor.
Well, you came highly recommended, and I am always recommending you because what I love so much is that I can kind of just say to you, like, hey, I need this. With my own way. And like, just because I'm a writer doesn't mean that I'm good at describing what I can see when it comes to like website or email or whatever. And it seems like you can just read my mind because I know I don't give you a lot of information. So I just really appreciate what you do, how efficiently you do it, that I can trust you with everything from the back office, like my contacts, like, trust you with everything because all of that is so important. Um, and uh, and sensitive. So I just appreciate specifically the emails was what got us started.
Mhm.
And I have appreciated so much your assistance with those emails and that automation for when people sign up for things and stuff like that. But you do so much more, and I appreciate all that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's honestly when I talk about the work that I do with my clients, it varies, right? Everybody's business is different. Everybody needs something a little bit different. But in the grand scheme of everything, everybody needs their business to work. Like you need the things in the back end to be operational. When someone clicks that button to buy that thing, it actually takes them to where they're supposed to go. And of course, technology is not faultless, right? Things happen, but I'm always so grateful to be able to help you along the way and give you the space to really operate in your zone of genius. And I think that's something that I've come to love so much about the work that I do is seeing the freedom that it gives my clients to really run and have that space to create new things, which is exactly what you've done. So I want to dive right into some of the juicy stuff. Like, this is really exciting, and being able to have people in my world that are just creating and bringing new things. It's always so great to bring to you guys. So, first, Jennie authored Self Sabotage No More. She's also the founder of the coaching program. And today actually marks the launch date of her second book, Stuck No More.
I'm so
Yay!
excited.
So, can you dive in a little bit and share with us how, some of the obstacles along the way, because that's a big part of your book as well as overcoming obstacles. But in writing the book, in sustaining a really successful coaching business, what's some stuff that's come up for you?
Oh, big question. So yes, absolutely. There's always obstacles. I will tell you this, and I'm not just saying this because we're having this conversation right now, but the biggest obstacle leading up to this last year, so things I was struggling with prior to October last year were things like automation, things like the back office, things like the stuff that I can be creative with randomly, but it's random and not my wheelhouse, not my zone of genius. And so, one obstacle that was huge for me, Sarah, was that I felt like I had to do all the things. And I did have a little bit of help, um, but mostly was trying to just do everything on my own. And what I've appreciated with you so much is that actually hiring you and having you do the things that are in your zone of genius, and not in mine, though I probably could get to like zone of good, is that it has freed up time for me to write a whole new book. And that is, I mean, the value of that, like, how can you put a value on that? It's just so
Mhm.
incredible. So I can't, I'll jump into a little bit about, stuck no more and self-sabotage no more. But honestly, sometimes the obstacle, I often talk about emotional obstacles and energetic obstacles. Uh, but sometimes the obstacle has a tangible fix, like a Sarah, like hiring someone. And sometimes the reason why we don't hire someone is because we emotionally feel guilty, or like our business isn't doing good enough to do it, or we should be able to do all of the things, and I think really entrepreneurs feel at this time, day and age, a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they should be doing all of the things. And I remember a few years ago, I think it's probably 3 years ago now, hearing Jessica Higdon speak at an event. And she was talking about when she finally hired someone to help her with the cleaning and the laundry and stuff. And I had kind of set this goal: when I'm successful, I'm going to hire someone to clean for me. And because it's not something I love, and definitely not in my zone of genius. And so, I remember hearing her speak and thinking, when is successful successful? Like, how much money do I have to make? And that's
Mhm.
cleaning. Yes, it frees up my time, but it's not something that's going to accelerate my business. I probably in some way, shape, or form it does, but kind of in a different way. Whereas, when I finally made that decision, like, oh, like, to be more successful, I need to get over myself of trying to do all the things and be all the things, and just live in my zone of genius, which is helping people heal, coaching people to move forward, to get unstuck, to stop sabotaging, and my writing. So
Yeah.
it's been really cool to be able to just send you stuff. And I will tell you that I really love your the variety of stuff I can send you, because sometimes I'll ask you, like, is it okay for me to send you this and ask for this? I know you could do it, but I don't know if it's like what you want to do.
Right.
But so far it's been great. So yeah, I just appreciate it. But to
I
jump
love
into
that.
stuff, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so I wanted to touch on, actually, I think you made a really good point about like when is successful, right? Like just that statement, because everybody's got this benchmark of like what success is for them. And once they get there, okay, then I'll do the thing. Then I'll hire the person. Then I'll take action. Then I'll eat better, right? It's always the, oh, when I get there, then I'll do this. And I think that's something that just having you in my life as a client, as a friend, as someone that we're constantly communicating with, you're always kind of that touch point for me to remind me of things that can be so simple, but that we forget. And the way you live your life, I see you with your husband on your adventures, camping and living out of your little what do you call it? Your little ambulance, like reverted into a
Ambi,
camper. Yeah.
ambi.
But all the things that you do in your own life, like you are truly walking the walk of the things that you are turning around and teaching all of your clients. And I think that just resonates through all of your work and through our work together too. Like it helps me show up for myself in a better way.
Can you hear my dog right now?
No, but I love your puppies. They're so cute.
Two puppies. And they're like doing this like hilarious little background noise. So I'm glad if you can hear something weird in the background. That's what it is. It's not my stomach, I promise. Cute. Actually, this last year, last July, and I'll get emotional, so I'll say it quickly. My cousin, who was 42, passed very suddenly. She left behind two little girls, and losing her was like this wake up call for my husband and I, like, you know, we've got to do all the things and spend all the time to do all the things, right? Like, I think it's really important to live our passions and to work and contribute and of course we have goals, financial goals, but also like, we went to Thailand this year and Costa Rica this year, and we do the weekend camping. We used to be weekend warriors. Like every weekend we would go camping, hiking, whatever. And then that was when I had a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job, and then we became entrepreneurs, and all of a sudden we were working on Saturdays because we needed to, because it was busy. And then it was Sundays, and then we dialed back and we gave ourselves Sunday, and there was this whole progression. And now we found this place where we set our schedules, and we have gone back to that kind of weekends are for us, for exploring, for adventure. Of course, once in a while, the business will need them, but for the most part, we really want to live and explore. And my biggest gift, that's like the nicest thing you could say, because for me, the biggest gift that I love finding or exploring with my clients is helping them get out of their own way so that they can experience the feeling of success. Because you could have someone super successful and not feel successful. You could have someone, when is success, right? And so you have to be like, celebrate now and be successful now and do what you can now and enjoy what you can now. And then find the ways to get out of your own way where you're not doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am so grateful for the work that I get to do because there's people like you that are constant reminders of the things that I'm wanting to improve upon in my own life. And I think that's the ultimate goal for me with entrepreneurship. What I've come to discover is it's not about the money, it's not about having a certain amount of clients, it's not even about like all of the actual work I get to do. It's the experience of, okay, I just like for last example, last night I was creating the website page for your book. And after I was done with it, I was looking through and I was like, you know what? I actually created this page without any actual template, yet it reads like one of the best sales pages I've ever made. And so now I'm like, now I can use this as a template to move forward for other clients, but really understanding your business and being able to plug into the message that you want to say and me being connected to that. Like that's just, those are the client relationships that I just love so much. And I'm just so grateful to have that with you. Um, so something else that you're really masterful at that I want to touch on is manifestation. And this is something that's in your new book, but it's obviously something you've been talking about, for years. But what are some simple tools and some things that you can share with us in regards to mastering manifestation?
Yeah, so self sabotage no more was really all about helping people remove emotional blocks that cause them to self sabotage, or emotional triggers that cause them to self sabotage. Stuck no more. And I will just say that if you do that, if you read that book, if you follow the kind of protocol to clearing old emotion out, unprocessed emotion out, you will notice that you manifest things more easily, even if you're not intending to. But Stuck No More, and I had so many titles, and you heard some of the titles. Stuck No More, I finally landed on because it's one of the things that so many people come to me and they just say, I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling stuck in this area, in relationship, in money, in business, in health, in weight, in, feeling stuck. And that just kept coming up. And so um, really the goal of this book is to help people get into alignment with their dream, with what they want. So what most people do, so I was not raised, about 20 years ago I found affirmations, and they helped me go from broken to where I am now. And so I literally spoke into the mirror. I love myself. I'm worthy of love. I'm beautiful. And those three things I couldn't say, I couldn't even look myself in the eye when I first started. And they would create this emotional response in me. And instead of me feeling like I was beautiful when I finally was able to look in the mirror, I just felt like a liar.
Yeah.
And so for the first, it took about 10 years for it to stick. I'm just saying it doesn't have to take that long. I remember one day just looking in the mirror, doing my affirmations. I did them every day and saying, I'm beautiful. And I thought, oh my gosh, I am beautiful. And like I received it on a whole different level. I love myself. I do love myself. Like I am lovable. And so those three statements, though I added tons more over the years, transformed my life, but really slowly.
Hmm.
And so my husband showed me this TikTok about maybe in December or January, showed me a TikTok, and it was like this guy saying that affirmations don't work. And I was kind of triggered because I'm like, oh, yes, they do. Like they changed my life. And but I stayed listening because I do have noticed in the past that sometimes you can do an affirmation and it doesn't come true or it's slow to manifest. So
Hmm.
what's up with that?
Hmm.
So, what ended up coming from watching that TikTok was I created a series of affirmations that will help you manifest whatever it is you're wanting to manifest. So, if let's just say abundant for ease, let's just say you want to feel abundant. You feel broke all the time. You feel like there's not enough money all the time, whether it's true or not. You just feel like you're just always making ends meet instead of feeling abundant or having more than enough. And so an affirmation might be, I am abundant. But to take it a step further, I feel abundant, which is a totally different statement
Hmm.
than I am abundant. And then the next one is, I choose abundance. Well, that's different too. And then I appreciate abundance. And appreciate is a combo between love and gratitude. So appreciation, the definition is love and gratitude.
Hmm.
So um, we love and are grateful for our abundance. We declare abundance. And I'm touching my body because these are actually in alignment with our chakras. So you don't need to know what your chakras are, but it's sort of, I move my way up. So foundational is I am, I feel, I put my hands on my stomach. I choose, I put my hands on my solar plexus. I appreciate, I declare abundance. So I speak abundance over my life. I envision abundance. And at that stage, I will picture something very abundant, either a memory or a right now abundance. And then I resonate with abundance. And then the last one, I co create abundance with God. And so, Stuck No More, every chapter is on one of those affirmations. And there's a couple additional chapters at the beginning that kind of share not only my broken to breakthrough story, but also the second chapter is kind of around, I think it's the second chapter, is around releasing the blocks that come up when you speak that stuff out. So if you looked in the mirror and said, I am abundant, and that little voice in your head said, no, you're not, that's what the magnetic balloon chapter is about. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And these are things that we need to be reminded of because life will start to create these filters that we see everything through, and it's judgment, it's guilt, it's all of the negative things we say to ourselves, that all the negative things we hear from other people, right? Like all of
right.
these filters, these lenses we look through. And I can honestly say, just in the last like 3 years is the first time in my life I feel like I've actually been seeing clearly, like seeing past
Mhm.
that filter, that layer of judgment and guilt and self-sabotage and all of these things. And truly, really, like every day, letting myself be fully aware of the fact that I had a great day today. I achieved the things, I accomplished things. I am truly grateful. Like I say these things to myself all the time because by the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like shit sometimes. I am drained. I feel burnt out. I feel exhausted. But if I take a deep breath and I remind myself, I did this, this, and this today, I feel, I start to do those very tangible things. It's not just the I ams, it's the I feels. I'm the
Yeah.
grateful for. I accomplished this. All of these different perspectives of seeing the one sort of idea, it really does help me come to the end of my day and recognize I'm incredible. I'm doing so many things
Yes.
and I am pushing my life, like I'm moving my life in a forward direction that feels so very aligned. And it comes to the point where it's like you almost aren't really having to make quite so many I don't know if this is the right way to say this, but you're in such a flow that it's just sort of like the next action you take just happens to be the best next action you take because you continue to sort of stay in that flow state, that alignment state. Yeah, making decisions not from a place of fear or judgment or sabotage really is like completely changes your life.
It's totally different. And when you're in alignment with your passion and with your purpose, that flow state, you just think like, oh, I should do this, and you do it.
Yeah.
Like there was a time in my life where like I had goals, but like I felt like I was pushing, like, when you try and run in water, like it kind of felt like that. Like I was chest deep in water with weights around my ankles, and I was trying to get to the next place, and I would get there, but it took a lot of effort. And now it's like, oh, I should do a course, or, I should like write this book. Like this book
Yeah.
just, it definitely didn't write itself because it was a whole process of itself. And I'm really blessed to have amazing publishers who get me, but also aren't afraid to like change the order of things and suggest things. So I it kind of felt like it wrote itself.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like it's cool when you get into that flow state. And I'm glad you mentioned in the evening, you kind of reflect at how awesome you are. Because you are awesome, you're incredible, and everybody is. And if you can tell yourself that at night, even if you had a crap day and you weren't productive, because there's like so much. I remember just the other day, like my husband was away. I had a full day to I could just create, write, like do posts for my launch, like that kind of stuff, be prepared, be organized. And like it was like 11 in the morning and I still had done nothing. And I felt this like anxiousness that I hadn't done anything. And then I was like, I could actually just take the day off. It was like bizarre because
Yeah.
I never used to be like a producer. I used to like very easily take a day off, but like sometimes I get into a mode where like I feel like, I have to be productive all the time. And I gave myself permission to take a day off. And it was just so amazing to just give myself permission. And at the end of that day, tell myself how incredible I was to
Mm.
give myself a day off and take a rest and reflect. In the evening when we're falling asleep, if you can do your affirmations, if you do use I am, I feel, I choose, if you use my series of what I call affirmations, actually, if you go through the motions of your affirmations, and do them while you're falling asleep, do them to fall asleep too, because it's the best time to reprogram your subconscious. So in the evening, if you can do that affirming, and do that like celebrating yourself and celebrating the day, it will go a really long way. Your subconscious starts to go, oh, we're incredible. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, I'm incredible. What can I do today? And
Yeah.
it's a really beautiful cycle.
I love that. And it takes practice. Like you said, I mean, it took you a good 10 years to get to a place where you weren't feeling super triggered when you would say kind things about yourself. Like it takes that consistency. But I think also too, just the awareness of like it's not always about how you said, quote unquote productivity. Being able to be kind to yourself on the days that you choose to do nothing, like giving yourself that permission. That's definitely something as I'm a manifesting generator as my human design. So like I will just go until I have absolutely no gas left in the tank sometimes. And I have to remind myself like it's okay to take it, just give myself that permission to take a day off. And sometimes if I plan the day off, I end up not taking a day off. So it's almost better that I have these sort of moments that just present themselves of, maybe tech isn't working that day. The internet went out. Like something is misaligned and it forces me to shut the computer off and take a day off. And instead of being upset about, the universe is against me and I can't do the things I want to do, instead it's like, no, actually, I think I'm just getting the nudge that time to take a little break and seeing it differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super powerful. It's powerful to know, and when we, that, again, that hustle culture, that being productive all the time, energy, people can manifest through action. You can, but
Mhm.
you can also manifest using your mind, using your energy, using your vibration. And um, I wrote about it in my book in Stuck No More, but there's been times where where I really showed up, like I wanted to manifest speaking at a certain event. And I saw this guy on stage, like, so it's probably 6 years ago now. I saw this guy on stage speaking at this event that I really wanted to speak at. And at the end, he was telling everyone about his book, and he said, "Come to my table. I'll give you a free book and sign it. I have 100 copies or whatever." And right there in that moment, this vision was born for me. Like, I want to be on that stage one day telling people about my book signing. And 5 years, almost to the day, I was speaking on that stage as an author. And like the first person who asked me to sign their book, like I literally started to cry because I was like, this is like miraculous, right? This is like a vision, like it just can't, how could this even be?
Mhm.
And it was just so beautiful because it was really like what I call a graduation moment where like I had this dream, but that dream, that was 5 years of me. Like I didn't just imagine a book and then 5 years later, I
Yeah.
was sitting, like I had to write the book. I had to study and research the book. I had to take courses and, learn different methods, come up with my own method, work with like hundreds of clients, like, for that book to come into fruition and for that
Mhm.
moment to be on stage. But other times I like pictured a Mercedes, like, oh, what would it be like to have that Mercedes? That would be nice. And then like 6 months later, I magically it felt like magic, have that Mercedes. And
Mhm.
so like I feel like sometimes we manifest with action more than we need to.
Yeah.
I think it's always a combo. That's what the affirmations are about. Like, are you choosing every day to do the things and to get into action around what can move you towards what you want to manifest?
Mhm.
But also, like, are you in alignment with whatever that dream is? You know?
Right. Yeah, because it definitely can feel like our actions are creating more roadblocks sometimes.
Oh,
Like it absolutely can feel that way sometimes. And you have to get to that point of understanding like maybe it's just not for me, or maybe it's just not there yet. And I
maybe you
find
don't
that
know the how. Like maybe you don't know the
right.
how. So you're like trying to force it this way. And like meanwhile, there's this other opportunity over here that would just make it happen
Mhm. Mhm.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my current manifestation that's happening right now is my husband and we're going to be moving to Colorado. Like that is something that we know is already happening. Like we went and visited all of the month of July. We're looking at properties. We've already talked to realtors. So like we've taken action, but the fact that we're having conversations with the present tense,
Yeah.
about what we
Mhm.
are currently doing, even though we still live in Houston, but we're talking about as if we live in Colorado and what is our life going to look like, that day whenever we wake up and we're living in the mountains. Like,
Yeah.
so I can already feel that this momentum, there's no stopping it now
Mhm.
because it's already on its way
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
And
I always say the chapter is already written because I feel like one thing that I trust and know is that God knows all of the chapters of my life. And so even if I haven't read that chapter personally, right? So you're not in that chapter of Colorado yet, but you know that God has already seen that chapter. And so you can thank him for the chapters that you haven't yet experienced, but you're in, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, because he's already seen it. It has already happened.
Yeah. No,
Um,
and that's how I know it's such a reality is because when I have the conversation with people that they, some of our friends that know that this is happening for us, they're like, "So when? When are you going?" And I'm like, "Well, I know by the end of this year we're going to have made XYZ decision. And
mhm.
so it's probably going to be in the spring, or honestly, it could be sooner. Like things could align at any point. It's already happening." So, yeah, it's just this knowingness, like you say, that it's what you desire when you really align your energy and your intention to it, it's happening. And the how of it, just you don't even have to worry about it. It's already kind of,
It's important actually not to worry about the how and just go
yeah.
with the flow. Yeah, what would be, I always say, what would be dreamy? That's why I always say, I was just talking to Hannah, my stepdaughter, about that yesterday. Like, what would be dreamy instead of like what's realistic or possible for me? What would be dreamy? What would I really like? Like, we're going through a similar process and we haven't 100% decided what we want. We're both like very open. So we literally could like one day be like, oh, we could be in a van beside the river. Like the next day, like, oh, maybe we could just buy a plot of land and live in a bus. And then like the next day, like it would be nice to have a nice house with a big tub and like a view. And like, so we like change a lot. And my husband and I are very similar. So we haven't quite set the vision yet. So what we keep every time we come up with a vision, well, what would be dreamy? What would be dreamy? Well, what do I really want? And so that's what it's kind of a fun process. The manifesting is like really exploring like, well, what do I really want? You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and so we similarly, my husband and I, we kind of have those same desires and we could really go either way. And for
Mhm.
me, the thing that I'm staying most aligned to is I have this vision, which is really more of like a feeling, but there is a little bit of visual component to it when I'm like doing some meditation. But I see and I feel this thing. And so as soon as I see it in my physical, I'll know it. And so that's why I'm really not too concerned with like, oh, is it just going to be a plot of land that we build on? Or, oh, is it an already
Yes,
built house?
yes.
As soon as I see it and I feel it, I'm gonna know it. And so I'm just kind of at that phase right now. And that part of manifestation is so exciting because I'm just letting it sort of be and exist and have its own kind of evolution. And I'm just there witnessing it, being a part of it. It's really kind of cool. But something
Super.
I want to ask you actually, because this is something that I have personally experienced, and I know a lot of people do experience it on a daily basis. They might be hearing this conversation being like, okay, well, that's all well and good. They're at a state of being where they can feel comfortable being dreamy and having these sort of visions. But what about somebody who is feeling incredibly stuck and really terrified of being dreamy and having those sort of big ideas and thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling stuck, it's usually fear of something. I mean, or a past experience where you've wanted something and then been hurt by wanting that thing. Usually there's some kind of past trauma or experience, or your parents or whoever raised you kind of programmed you, and you programmed you as well
Hmm.
to believe that something is impossible for you, or someone like you or that kind of thing. So usually before the age of 12, we've decided how successful we can be, what's possible for us. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the flea in the jar. Steve Harvey has this like really cool story, and I wish I could do it as good as he does it. But the quick version is a flea can jump like some crazy distance. Like the equivalent would be us being able to jump the height of a football field, like the length of a football field.
Hmm.
Like it's for the size of the flea, how high they can jump is just incredible proportionately. So a flea can jump that high. So you get a mama flea and you put it in a jar and you put a lid on the jar, and then you throw a papa flea in there and you put the lid on the jar, and they jump and they hit their head, and they jump and they hit their head, and they jump and they hit their head, and then they have a baby because there's nothing else to do in the jar. And the baby flea jumps and hits its head, and learns to jump just high enough to not hit its head. It follows mom and dad, right? We're going to jump just high enough not to hit our heads, because the parents learned that they can only jump this high to not hit their heads. You can
Mhm.
take the lid off that jar, and the baby flea doesn't know that it can jump any higher. And so, as children, our parents or whoever raises us teaches us how high we can jump. They'll teach us that it's not safe to have your own business, or they'll teach us their experiences, like maybe an uncle went bankrupt having their own business, or maybe they'll teach us that being an artist or a singer isn't a safe choice, or whatever it is. And so, I have a friend who's this amazing artist, and she was, kind of scared into being an accountant. And she's got this amazing brain, so she can do both, which is like very unique. But so often this happens where we learn that we can only jump so high.
Mhm.
So just learning to take the lid off the jar. Like, you can jump as high as you can dream, as far as you can dream, you can jump. And really, my book is a tangible way to learn how to do that.
I love that. Oh, that is the perfect little, you wrapped that up in a beautiful little bow. That was so, like, so eloquent too. And what a fantastic metaphor. So, for anyone watching this, listening to this, however you're consuming this podcast, Jennie has a fantastic bundle of resources that, like she said, it's a tangible way for you to really start to dig in and, for one, identifying, right, the things that are causing the sabotage patterns and unprocessed emotions and all of that. But also then the other side, the dreaming parts, the manifestation parts. Is there anything you want to kind of touch on the resource bundle and sort of the highlights of what people should be looking for when they download that?
I mean, the resource bundle is really just extra assistance. It's not necessary, but it's going to give you like the short version, the Cole's notes on, how to release stuff that's holding you back. So something you've been trying to manifest and you just feel like you're blocked. There's just simple guidance in there on how to release those blocks. And then, of course, my alarm methods in there too. So if you haven't read Self-Sabotage No More, you can look at that and start to release maybe some emotions that cause triggers or cause you to sabotage. It is really a bundle. There's lots in there. Remember when we chatted about it, and I was like, do we have like 15 buttons, or do we have one place? And you're like, let's do a bundle. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Thank goodness for Sarah. So the bundle is full of, there's a video and how to and all the stuff. I walk you through the affirmations, and it's just a great place to start. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, congrats on publishing your second book. I mean, that's so super exciting. And I'm just so grateful to be part of your journey, sort of adjacent, right? As you're creating and manifesting all of your dreams, I get to sort of witness and come along with you for the ride. So I'll put all the details in the show notes for you guys to just get to know Jennie and dig in a little bit on what she's got going on. And I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you, Sarah. I absolutely could not have had the year that I've had, which has been a year of my dreams, without you. So thank you for everything.
Appreciate you. All right, you guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.